Your IBS isn't just about food intolerances, stress, or having a sensitive gut. It's a sign that your whole entire system is out of balance. And in the West, we have a tendency to really think too small about what health means. We've grown up tending to think that if you're not sick, then that must mean that you're healthy. If you don't have a specific disease diagnosis, then you're fine. Ayurveda sees this very differently, and there's actually a really powerful definition of health. Sushruta, one of Ayurveda's revered doctors and who wrote one of the core texts of Ayurvedic medicine, defines health as balanced doshas, a strong and steady digestive fire, or Agni, well-formed and well-nourished bodily tissues, or the Dhatus, proper elimination of waste, as in getting rid of ama, and a joyful soul, clear senses, and a happy and contented mind. So with this definition of health, we can really see that in Ayurveda, there's a clear indication of things that we kind of got to check off the list and make sure are operating and functioning properly. And then we know we are really in a true state of health. And when we have true health, what's amazing is our energy levels are high, our mood is high, our body is functioning in an amazing and incredible way. There's just endless levels of benefits to having a system that's operating in the way that it's meant to be operating. Prior to getting into Ayurveda, I always thought I was a pretty healthy person. I was always active, I ate pretty good. I was just really mindful of, following healthy practices. It wasn't until I started following Ayurveda and implementing these things slowly over time that I really started to feel the power of Ayurveda. And all of that really kickstarted one, after I healed from my IBS and was following the advice of Ayurvedic practitioners, I was like, oh, okay, like I feel great. And the IBS has gone away now. When I first started studying Ayurveda and I was learning all these things and then slowly by slowly implementing more personalized routines for myself, that's when things started to unlock. And yeah, the benefits are really inexplicable. So all that is leading up to one final concept that I'm going to introduce to you in Ayurveda that's really important, and that's the seven tissues of the body, or seven dhatus. Let's go over those now. So the seven dhatus, or seven tissues, according to Ayurveda, are how our body is formed. These are the seven dhatus: rasa, or plasma, or the liquid part of your blood; rakta, or the solid part of your blood; mamsa, which is muscle tissue; Meta, which is fat tissue; Ashti, which is bone tissue; Maja, which is the nervous system and bone marrow; and then Shukra Artava, which is the reproductive part of our bodies. So the Rasa Dhatu is the first one that's formed, and this is responsible for our nourishment, for our affection, for immunity. And then 5 days after the development of Rasa, we have Rakta, this nourishment. And Rakta is life function, or Jivana in Ayurveda or Sanskrit. And that's really the essence of life, and it's life-giving. The solid part of our blood, or blood cells, are obviously also responsible for oxygenation, and on a subtle emotional level, responsible for enthusiasm, excitement. Mumsa, or the muscle tissue, is plastering or building. So it's like the lining, the coating. Obviously, when we work out more, we get bigger muscles and the body increases in mass. It's responsible for form and shape. With strong, built-up, tonified muscles, the shape of our body starts to change. Responsible for movement naturally, strength naturally. It aids in protection, so protecting especially like our abdomen and our digestive organs. And then a strong and healthy muscle tissue throughout the body leads to confidence. Now, Meta, or the fat tissue, is responsible for lubrication of the body, lubrication of the joints, lubrication of the eyes, the sinuses, the mucosal lining inside of our body for digestion. It's responsible for bulking up of the body, insulation, long-term energy storage. And it's also really related to self-love and beauty. And this is one of the beautiful things in Ayurveda. In the West, we typically have a less than ideal perspective on what fat means. And here's just a couple of pictures. I think really these ancient paintings, verism is the definition. It means truth. And before photography was invented, painters and sculptors were really interested in capturing very realistic images of body. And while these are still idealized for what beauty meant at the time, it's very different from what our modern definition of beauty is. And I think it portrays, obviously, bodies in a healthy and more natural way. Everybody's going to carry more or less weight. But I just want to stress that fat is not something to be afraid of. This could be a longer and deeper conversation for another video, but I just want to put that out there for this. The next tissue to develop is osteoid or bone, and this is development of support, structure, and also protection. So the rib cage, protects our heart and lungs. The skull protects our brain. The pelvic girdle protects our genitals. So this is all very important. Also, on a subtle level, having strong bone tissue leads to the emotional support and structure and protection or sense of those in ourselves. Maja, which means to fill the spaces, would be our bone marrow and our nervous tissue. So the bone marrow obviously fills the insides of our bones, and then the nervous tissue fills up really our spinal cord is kind of the reference there, but then permeates throughout our whole entire system. And the nervous tissue obviously is responsible for sensation, our senses, and then on a more subtle level or indirect level, communication, learning, and memory. And lastly, we have the reproductive system, Shukra and Artava. Shukra would be the male reproductive and Artava would be the female reproductive. So this is a very beautiful tissue. It's responsible for creating new life, new humans. And then obviously sensuality is involved with that. And it helps with emotional regulation and release. So when we have a healthy reproductive system, these things happen much easier, which we can relate in the Western sense to hormones. And then one of the most important things is the healthy reproductive system produces ojas. So ojas in Ayurveda is responsible for vitality, immunity. Ojas is like the superfine, really refined essence of all the dhatus, all the tissues. And it's like bees would go gather honey, or bees would go gather nectar and pollen from all these flowers, bring all of that back, digest it, and then produce honey, this ultra pure, wonderful superpower, superfood. Having good ojas will help us resist aging, resist disease, resist decay of the tissues. Somebody with good ojas would rarely be getting sick. And the quality and the quantity of the ojas in your body is really determined by the power of your agni, your digestive power. An illustration of how this works: first, we would eat food that goes into our stomach, and this is burnt up by our agni, our digestive system. The first tissue to get nourished from digesting food is rasa, the liquid part of our blood. If you think about like a diabetic, when they're constantly trying to balance blood sugar, that fluctuation happens within moments of them eating. So that's just an illustration of how quickly this tissue gets nourished. And then all the tissues get nourished through all of our digestive processes. But in Ayurveda, we say each tissue gets nourished 5 days from the next one, and it's a trickle-down effect. So the trickle-down effect of how strong your digestion is, the better your stomach and your intestines can break down food and break down nutrients and proteins, minerals, etc., will determine how much nourishment rasa dhatu will get, the liquid part of your blood will get. Once all of those nutrients are into the liquid part of your blood, they can be carried and transported through obviously the liquid part, but then also the solid part of your blood. The solid part of your blood is going to be delivering these nutrients and these vitamins and minerals to your muscle tissue. And then your muscle tissue is going to be nourishing, breaking down all those nutrients and producing your fat tissue. Your fat tissue and your muscle tissue both coat around the outside of your bone. So then your bone will be receiving those nutrients, the refined, micro-refined. And then the micro-refined nutrients permeating through your bones, because your bones are porous, will be feeding and nourishing your nervous system, your nervous tissue. And then once all these tissues have been nourished, this is every single part of the human body, finally, all that information, all that data, all that natural intelligence of turning food into all these different tissues of the human body. Lastly, your reproductive system is nourished. And then when you have a healthy and strong and not depleted reproductive system, then ojas is developed. So throughout this course, we've talked about nurturing your agni, getting that digestive power up in the digestive system. Having a good Agni in the digestive system will have this trickle-down effect of the Agni for each one of the tissues. This tissue will be healthy and pass on good nutrients to this tissue. This tissue will be healthy and pass on good nutrients to this tissue, et cetera, down the chain until we finally develop Ojas, which is this absolutely wonderful, we get all these benefits from. So if you have a weak or improper digestion, you're going to have a weak or improper development of tissues throughout your whole entire body. When you have strong tissues throughout your whole entire body, your body becomes much more resistant to disease. When you have strong tissues and your digestion may fluctuate, then that's okay. You can kind of weather that storm. But when you have IBS or any other digestive issue chronically, then the tissues over time can start to deteriorate, become weaker, become inefficient, become improperly formed, and that would lead to a weak link in the body, which is where disease will eventually develop. The beginning signs of debilitated tissues can look like fatigue, anemia, muscle loss, dry skin, joint pain, anxiety, or hormonal issues. So these are the early signs of weak tissues, and we want to really make sure that we start to rebuild the digestive system, rebuild the Agni, eliminate the Ama, and once we get that strong fire, that strong digestive fire going, we can start sending more proper and appropriate nutrients to all the tissues down the line. And while strengthening the tissues starts with your digestion, it also includes everything that we talked about before, is your mental disposition, your stress levels, your emotions. So using lifestyle techniques, using meditation, exercise, and good diet are all going to nurture and create the proper environment for your body to live healthily. As mentioned in one of my previous videos, I've worked with hundreds of clients, and of the ones that come to me with IBS or digestive issues, they usually have some other issue associated with that. And I've had clients heal amazing things from skin disorders, hormonal issues, interrupted or incorrect menstrual cycles, getting their energy levels back up, mental clarity back up. And all these clients saw results in less than 2 weeks with their digestion, with more of the longer term and deeper healing being revealed over the course of a couple of months. The reason for that timing is, as mentioned with the Dhatus, it takes 5 days for each Dhatu to nourish. That's 7 Dhatus, which is 35 days total. So once you correct the digestive system, within the first couple of weeks, you can start to see your IBS symptoms alleviate really quickly. If you stay on that routine for an extended period of time, then after the 35 days, all 7 tissues are now receiving that proper nutrition from a good digestive system. And then after another 35 days, the tissues start to become stronger and stronger, and the digestive system becomes stronger and stronger. And now you have a whole entire ecosystem that's really working to provide you with absolute optimal health. And with the strong digestion and the strong tissues, then you're also, as mentioned, developing really strong, good quality, good quantity ojas, which is going to help be kind of the overseer of all of these things. So all of this is absolutely possible for you if you follow and implement all these things that you've been learning throughout the whole entire course. If you're having a hard time bringing this all together, you can book an IBS implementation call with me, and it's 30 minutes where we can hang out, we can talk about what you're doing, what you've implemented from the course, and give you a little bit of personalized guidance on what you can do to improve your results. If you want to go all the way with complete 100% guidance, I do offer an IBS reversal package, which is multiple sessions with me where we'll do a full consultation, a full diagnosis, and lifestyle, diet, herbal protocol developed for you, and then meet multiple times to make slight adjustments to that protocol as needed to get you perfectly back on track and get you healing right away for good. Thanks for hanging me through this whole entire series. There's one more video to go. In the final video, I'm going to summarize everything that we've talked about so far, and I'm going to walk you through a case study of one of my clients so that you can see exactly behind the scenes of their before and after and how they healed from IBS and are still now, to this day, IBS free. As always, like and subscribe would be super helpful for me, but again, super helpful for millions of people that are suffering with IBS around the world. Hopefully we can get this message out in front of them and help more people heal their digestion and heal their bodies. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.